You do not think that you can get away with that, right? You still have 6 minutes. Plus, you still owe me for the first day. I will keep reminding you of that. I will never forget that day. You will have to pay for it one way or another. So, today we'll talk about property, plant, and equipment. They also call them PP&E, plant assets, fixed assets. So they have different names, they are the same. This is land, building, equipment. Okay? And we have started before, we talked about something, basically an interesting concept associated with PP&E. That was depreciation, right? Many of them, they depreciate. And at the end, we will talk quickly about intangible assets. Okay? So plant assets, those are, some of the characteristics of those ones are that they have physical substance. Okay, this is a truck. However, they also have other characteristics. Those are trucks or buildings that are used for business operations. They are not merchandise that the company will sell. So they are not going to be sold to customers. Not now. So it's not that inventory. Ford, as a company, they might have trucks that they use for their own employees, for their own business operations. In this case, it would be considered as equipment. At the same time, they might have trucks, or they have those trucks that they will sell to customers. That's inventory. That's a different thing. So they have to be used in business operations. They cannot be. They are not intended for sale. Eventually, you will dispose of them. So once they are almost dying, you will sell them still. But it's not like that you have them specifically for sale. Okay? And the other thing is that you expect them to serve you for a long period of time. It's not going to be only for a couple of days or for a couple of months. You expect the truck to serve you for several years. This slide simply shows you how important plant assets are, because plant assets, they basically, in many cases, for companies, big companies like Caterpillar, for companies like airline companies, they have a lot of equipment. Okay? So a big part of their assets are actually PP&E. Okay? Actually, as you can see here, a company like Microsoft, because they don't manufacture a lot, they have more, it's more in the intellectual property part of it that their assets are. This is why you can see that they have very little or very small property, plant, and equipment portion of their assets. Okay. This we have covered before, so I'm going to go fast over this. Companies, they use the historical cost to record their property, plant, and equipment. So for PP&E, we use historical cost. The cost is not just a purchase price. It's a purchase price plus any additional costs that were associated with acquiring that equipment or that asset until it is ready for its intended use. You buy a building, okay, or you buy, for example, an office. It's just an empty space. You need to partition it before the company can actually use it as offices. This partitioning will go as part of the cost before this building or this room becomes ready for its intended use as office. Okay? So this is what we mean. If there were any fees, any commissions that were commission fees, any broker fees, taxes, etc., that were associated with the purchase of it to acquire that asset, then it will be included in the cost. Okay? The first one is land. So land, when you buy a land, when the company purchases a land, they will include in the cost basically all the costs that were associated with preparing it for its intended use. So for example, if the land had some trees and you need to use the land later on just as an empty lot, okay? You will have to cut all these trees. Cutting the trees will be included as part of the cost. if there was some kind of a building that you need to demolish and remove, that will be included in the cost of the land. Any brokerage fees, any lawyers, for example, if the lawyers charge you any amount, this is all included in the cost. Any closing fees, etc. If there were any property taxes that were basically accumulated from the previous owner, and you as a buyer, sometimes the buyer will say, okay, I will accept to pay any pending property taxes or any previous property taxes that are not paid yet. I will pay them. That will be included in the cost. Okay? There's one important thing about land. Land never depreciates. Unlike other property, plant, and equipment assets, land never depreciates because we consider that land will be there forever. So it's not going to be, so this is why we do not depreciate the cost of land. So Hayes Company acquired real estate at a cash cost of $100,000. The property contains an old warehouse that is raised at a net cost of $6,000. That's $7,500. It costs less $1,500. This is the last one, I promise. Less $1,500 proceeds from salvage material. Additional expenditures are attorney's fees and the real estate broker's commission, $8,000. How do you do that? You start with the cost, you add all the additional costs. So it would look like this here. The cost of the land, I know that I promised it would be the last one, but this is the same as before.